We built this community garden about 15 years ago, and so we had been using the school district's little shed and trying to share stuff, and just wasn't working out very well for us, and needed a space to kind of store our tools that are really accessible to the garden for the students.
This is the shed right here, and as we open the doors, we have a very spacious area with an area to hold tools, as well as shelving and a workbench in the back. Initially, we thought it would take about a month or so, but it ended up taking about 6 months to complete. Quite a bit of help from my family, friends, and especially my scout leaders and my troop. They all helped and chipped in. I like the workbench and the shelf. It uses the space, but it's also makes it more usable, I think, because then you have a place to work and there's shelving, so it just makes good use of the space. Well, I thought of the idea when I saw the old shed, the current shed right now, when I was the current shed, but the old shed, and how it was rotting and falling apart. I know because I went here and I experienced that. And so I brought up the idea with my mom, and then she helped me ask Heather and like expand that idea, and then eventually it led to me actually doing the project. I went online and I found plans that had like descriptive plans that had steps and what to do for building of the shed. And then I basically made a material list from there, and then I went to various stores and like Home Depot and asked for donations. Home Depot, Norton Lumber, Ashland Lumber, my scout leader, and the community garden itself, and then another family. And it cost about $3,000, probably a little bit more. The last step was completing the ramp, and it kind of tidied it up in order for like a wheelbarrow to get inside and easier to get into. There's 3 coats of paint, well, 1 coat of primer, 2 coats of paint, and that took significantly.
Oh, really?
Like, it took a long time, yeah. The hardest part is probably the painting.
Really?
Yeah, it took a long time. And it was just tedious.
Yeah, super necessary. Yeah, we've been using this really old, worn down shed that had stored a bunch of old stuff in there. We, during COVID, had to store some tables and extra furniture in there. Yeah. So we were really excited that Julius wanted to take on this project for the school. I was just super impressed that he could build something like that. And I want to hire him for my house, like I said. Just really grateful and just proud of him. I know Julius has been a scout for a long time, and I've known him pretty much his whole life. So to see that hard work come to fruition and to give back to the school and the community that, you know, he's grown up in is really special. I've got to watch him go through kindergarten through 5th grade, and then the middle school, and a little bit as a high schooler. He's just always been a helper. He's got 2 parents who are in the service industry, teacher and firefighter. So it's kind of in his blood to give and serve the community. So he's just always been like that. Super, super sweet. He's into justice, you know, like making sure things are right and fair in the world. And he's really athletic and pretty funny.
Because he tackled something significant. It was a large project that would take some time and planning, a lot of planning. And it wasn't a simple item, you know, to plan or construct. So after being proud of him, I realized the challenge that it would take to do the planning and the fundraising, and but the community was really supportive, and there was a definite need here. So it felt like the project had purpose from the very beginning. I'm like you. I was the kid who hated selling beef jerky for the Little League, you know. But thankfully, He dressed in his uniform and we went to the businesses we normally shop at, like Home Depot and Norton Lumber, and they were very supportive. Once they heard the idea and Julius spoke with them, they were supportive, and we were able to cover it at nearly 100%. Parents helped out, you know, fill in the gaps, but yeah, overall it's a wash.
He's fortunately been part of 4-H since 4th grade, since he was 9 years old, so that encourages him to go out and speak to community members and represent himself in a positive manner and be professional and teach him speaking skills with that. And so because of that, it gave him the encouragement, it gave him the self-confidence to go out and ask about his project, which he was passionate about, and he really believed in it and believes in it and is excited to support his community and his school that he went to.
It felt good to like check it off. I'm glad that the garden can actually use it now and store their tools in. I think it'll be good. Like everything's over here, it's in the garden. It's easier it's more accessible, and I think it's just better for the garden and everyone who uses the garden.
Yeah, I think every time I drive by since we finished it, it feels like an accomplishment. You know, I'm proud of him, and just doing this today feels like closure, you know, on this part of it. He has a lot more paperwork to do, you know, to close out the Eagle Scout project, but to have the hard work done makes me feel really proud.
And I love it. My classroom's right next to it, so every day I get to look out and see that my son contributed to something that should be here as long as it wants to be here for the school district to use and for the school to use and the students and the community. And so it's a lot of honor and pride that my son was able to give back to his community as he has.
Built a small shed at home together, and he was a bit younger, and I realized all he really wanted to do was swing a hammer. But he loves using tools and designing and using wood, and you know, it all came together. Yeah, so he had a good plan, and thankfully I'd built a few small sheds like this before, so it was good. It worked out well.
Helped him keep moving the project along, but this is all his labor of love.
There were times I had to take a back seat, and he says he fired me about 14 times on this job. I said it's hard to fire a volunteer, you know, but he was the boss.
Yeah.